This is absolute malpractice by Nick Nurse. Not only have the Sixers dropped back-to-back games, but the head coach has failed to find an opportunity to provide rest for his key players, continuing to run the likes of Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and Kelly Oubre Jr. right into the ground. I'm going to sound off on why he is not giving enough long-term consideration to what these effects will be on these young guards and why there has to be a more widespread long-term view. To dive right into things here, I'm going to start off with these season-long stats, and you can see our guy Tyrese Maxey sitting right at the top of the list for minutes in the entire NBA at 41.3 minutes per game. Right behind him in second place, the rookie VJ Edgecombe at 38.6 minutes per game. And then in the fourth slot in the NBA, 37.4 minutes per game, Kelly Oubre Jr. That's right, Tyrese Maxey at 41.3 minutes per game is playing about 4 full minutes more than the next highest player on any other team. That is simply too much. Now, this is a Nick Nurse thing. This has been the story of him for the entirety of his career. You look back at the records during his time in Toronto, the likes of Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, players like that were consistently leading the league in minutes. And I'm not saying Tyrese Maxey should not be playing a ton of minutes. This is not in any way an indictment of a lack of belief in him as a talent or why he should be out there. But when the opportunity provides for the quote-unquote old school load management, get the dude out of this game and rest his legs. That is especially the fact in a matchup like against the Cleveland Cavaliers where you don't have a chance to win the game. The signs have basically established themselves from that, and you'd fail to do so. And to fully contextualize that I do want to dive into this breakdown. Shout out to Erin Grugan, who's become one of the best Sixers followers on Twitter here, and she tweets, "Yes, I'm still yapping about this one. I'm almost done." Tyrese Maxey had 25 minutes played at the end of quarter 3 with the Sixers down 20, a back-to-back. Great time to get a guy averaging 42 minutes some rest. He played 11 minutes in the fourth quarter despite the game not being competitive again. Unreal. Maxey finished with 36-27 played. I have some very sincere questions for Nick Nurse right now. To give the full context of the minutes last night, that Tyrese Maxey logging 36-27 of game action, Kelly Oubre Jr. 37-58, and it should be noted here that this is the same Kelly Oubre Jr. who's rolled his ankle twice already this season and continues to battle through it without missing a beat. Kelly's been fine on the court. Again, these aren't indictments of these guys as players. It's about preserving them for the long term. And VJ Edgecombe with 37-13 of gameplay. Now, to give Nick Nurse a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, he was asked about this following the game, and I understand his explanation to an extent. What he said here was, this coming from Sixers Wire, Kai Carlin here, is he writes, "The Sixers were thinking of pulling these guys, but Nurse wanted to give those guys a chance. Quote, we were considering it, and then we kind of made a run back with a couple minutes to go to get it down to, I think, 10 or 11 or 9 or something like that, and I don't know," Nurse explained. "We're in a stage right now where I'm way more into the we got to continue to show fight." And he continues on to say, "The Sixers have rallied from big deficits to win games in the early parts of the season. So Nurse is right in that respect. He was not only hoping Philadelphia would be able to pull off another miracle in Cleveland, but he's also wanting the Sixers to set that standard. The 24-25 season was obviously a disaster. He doesn't want to give it any moment no matter the situation. Quote, we're trying to dig ourselves out of some of the stuff from last year, right? And the attitude and the fight and all that stuff needs to be something that we got to continue to establish, right? Once we start making a little run there, I was not going to pull the plug on that run until it was time. And to be honest with you, I'm proud of it. I'm glad we left them in. I'm proud of the way that they played to try to continue the fight and that they cut that thing down to, I don't know, I can't remember, but it was probably around 10 with a couple minutes to go. And I don't know, we were just in 1 or 2 or 3 of those games just like that. So anything can happen in this league. I understand and I appreciate the desire to completely wipe last year off the map, to set a new standard for this is a team that competes, and there has been some incredibly encouraging signs of that in the early parts of the season. The comeback victories that they've already produced this year are not things that were even in the realm of possibility last year, but there is always risk that comes with it, and I do think that he mismanaged that risk-reward sort of balance in that matchup against the Cavaliers. Primarily speaking about Tyrese Maxey directly here, there just has to be a very clear long-term view of this guy. Like, to lay out his overall production on the season, we're talking about him logging 43.2 minutes a game, 35.2 points per game, 9.4 assists, 4.6 rebounds, 46.2% from the field, 46.8% from beyond the three-point arc. Tyrese Maxey is one of the best players in all of basketball. He's going to make an All-NBA team this year. I think he's got a legitimate case for the best guard in the Eastern Conference right now. He is that good. But with that comes you got to make sure that you have guys of that quality when the moment is at the largest. And running him out for 40 minutes in a game that you're down 20 for the majority of it is something that I don't think the risk-reward quite aligns there. I don't care if we can get a look at what Hunter Salas plays or Janai Broom on the floor. Last night was the opportunity to just see. That was not a game that I walked in there thinking the Sixers were going to win. Was it going to be nice considering that they just blew the game at the hands of the Bulls and that was an embarrassing loss there? Absolutely. That it was nice to see a spark. It would have been good for that one to go in the victory column there, but they were 11.5 point underdogs entering that matchup. Didn't have Joel Embiid, didn't have Jared McCain, didn't have Paul George, didn't have Dominic Barlow, and on the back-to-back against a legitimately good Cleveland Cavaliers team who just got Darius Garland back. That was a tough spot to be in on the second night of back-to-back, on the road, all those things. I'm not calling it a scheduled loss because I do think that is loser mentality, but I would have understood pulling the plug. That was one of the moments where it felt correct to me to just give Tyrese Maxey a little bit more of a breather. And to dive in like the box score as a whole, to take a peek at all these guys' minute splits, we're talking about Maxey, Edgecombe, and Oubre at 38, 36, and 37 minutes there. Adem Bona played 18. Jabari Walker played 8. Trendon Watford, who, by the way, is becoming a real story with this Sixers team. I know Ryan Coyle just dropped a video sort of highlighting really unique skill set. I'm getting excited about the concept of this guy as a primary ball handler with all these guards sort of flying off him for him to be able to make passes. He is a high-level playmaker, and the shot is starting to get there. It's looking impressive there. He was 2 of 2 from beyond the arc last night. He can rebound the ball. He's got a big body there. Really intrigued by the way that Watford is growing, and he continues to get better and better by the game. Johni Broome, just 1 minute last night. I don't believe in Johni Broome as an NBA basketball player, to be straight up with you, but we're not going to know that unless we give the guy a chance. Why not last night is overall what I think of. Quentin Grimes played 32 minutes. He finished with 27 points, and I got to say this was a garbage time merchant kind of performance from Quentin Grimes. He did have 27 points, but really struggled. 1 for 5 from 3. Did shoot 9 of 15 from the field. I think he was at like 16 or 17 points when like the game was still a game in here, and then really scrapped at the end. And we got Hunter Salas for 1 minute. Why not just give the dude a chance? Give Tyrese Maxey a little bit of an extra breather. And the other pushback here, and the critique that comes on this entire organization, is when you're committed to the bottom of the roster spots, being guys like Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon, who are essentially leadership roles, who are guys there to, be locker room presence more so than on-court impact players. You don't have them as options for these type of games. I will also push back as I continue to read Nick Nurse's explanation. He talked about like the minutes limit concept. I just disagree with that. I don't think that is a fair excuse to put. Yes, Joel Embiid has a minutes limit, was not playing. Yes, Jared McCain has a minutes limit and was not playing. That's it. That's the end of the story. That all these guys can play. You could have played Kyle Lowry for 15 minutes last night if you wanted to be the case. If that wanted to be the opportunity there. You could have thrown Eric Gordon on the floor. Why not? What's the harm in that? So I kind of reject that notion there. What I will give him props for and do like where I think that is a challenge is more practice the next day. That Tyrese Maxey should have his knees on ice, man. That dude should be resting up, being prepared for the next game here. The guys like the rest of the roster, the Jared McCains, the Paul Georges, the guys working their way back, they got to keep hitting the pavement, hitting the ground running and working themselves up to basketball shape and ready to make an impact. But for Nick Nurse directly there, I do think we're at a stage of the season where this needs to be a bit of a lesson. It is an 82-game grind in the regular season, and we have to be thinking long-term. Tyrese Maxey is 25 years old. He is a guy that can take a lot of minutes, play a lot of energy, but it's got to be when it's the right moment for that to do so. I do expect this dude to be playing 45 minutes in the postseason. I do expect this dude to be one of the leaders in minutes per game all year, but you got to pick your spots there, and I do think Nick Nurse is falling short in that category to an extent here. I do think when McCain comes back in full form, it will help this problem sort of fix itself, that there will be cleaner opportunities for rotations, but I do think that this was just a mismanagement of allowing this guy to play through things that he probably shouldn't have last night. Tyrese Maxey is healthy for the time being. We know how basketball works. We know how the NBA is, that injuries can happen at any moment. And I think make sure that you're not putting guys in risk the way that I feel Tyrese Maxey was last night must be a priority moving forward. So let me know what you guys think about all that. Tell me if I'm reading this the wrong way, but I do feel pretty strongly that that is the case from Nick Nurse. There has to be a bit of a reality check here, that this is an insane workload that the star guard is currently riding here. 41.3 minutes per game. It's been about 10 years since any player in the NBA has played over 40 minutes in a game throughout a season, that being Monte Ellis now. But it was 2006 that Allen Iverson was playing this type of minutes, was the last guy to do that there. That is too long. That Josh Hart led the NBA minutes around 37 last year. All these guys are playing above that minutes level. It's got to be reeled into a little bit. And Nick Nurse has to do that before it's too late. So appreciate you guys for tuning into this video here. If you have not already, make sure you're smashing that subscribe button on the channel. Dropping a like on this video. Giving your thoughts in the comments. I'll be back talking to you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.